What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's doing well out there. Happy Thursday, PTL family. Appreciate you guys joining us. Of course, we're on the YouTube Super Chat where your questions and comments will be read live on the air. We'll be taking some phone calls a little bit later on in the show, and I am excited to announce one of my favorite political commentators will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Wajahad Ali, you've seen him everywhere. He's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. I think he's brilliant. I think he's one of the best political commentators we have. So he's going to be joining us coming up in a little bit at the bottom of the hour. Obviously, there's a lot to get to, covering the breaking news. And when I had a few text messages earlier today, and I was told that there was an attack at a synagogue in Detroit, the first thing that entered my mind was, oh my God, is this similar to what took place in Pittsburgh? Luckily, the answer is no. Was it a terrorist attack? Perhaps. It was one person, clearly a hate crime. Here's some great news to report. There is no indication that anybody was injured, which in my estimation is a miracle. Thank God for that. So there were no injuries reported. The only person who lost their life was the perpetrator himself. We are learning more information as it comes in, but that is the latest information from what I've heard. So thank goodness for that, because when I heard this story at the beginning of the day, I was obviously extremely worried. Now, this is still troubling. We need to learn about this individual and why this person did what they did. But the good news is that nobody has been hurt, and the only person that lost their life, obviously, was the perpetrator. So we'll keep you updated on this story. But again, indications in Detroit at this synagogue is this lunatic decided to plow a car into the synagogue. Amazing that nobody was hurt and the perpetrator's life was taken. So the outcome was the outcome that I think most of us would have hoped, and we'll continue to monitor this story as it comes in. But I want to get to some clips before we get to Wajahad Ali, who's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. This is how incompetent, if you didn't already know, our president is. Donald Trump was asked yesterday about the new report that came out that clearly shows that the United States was responsible for striking and murdering a bunch of children in this school. Trump was asked, as he's always asked, if he ever will take any responsibility at all. He plays dumb, and he doesn't answer the question. Listen to this.
A new report says that the military investigation has found that the United States struck the school in Iran. As Commander-in-Chief, do you take responsibility for that?
That is what?
As Commander-in-Chief, do you...
For what?
For the strike on the school in Iran. A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it.
I don't know about that. First of all, he knows everything about it. And at the start of this, he knew that America was responsible. He knew. Who did he blame? Iran. As I've said before, and I'll say again, Iran does not have Tomahawk missiles. We do. The evidence was overwhelming. And as they attacked the New York Times, as you see that stupid bimbo, Caroline Levitt, behind Donald Trump there, Caroline Levitt attacked the New York Times for a report which appears to be extremely accurate. It was the United States. And once again, Donald Trump, forget about even apologizing. He's not taking any ownership. Oh, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about this new report. He knows exactly what happened. Pete Hegseth knows exactly what happened. But these lying war criminal scumbags will never take responsibility. And Gillibrand, to her credit, commented on this bombing of these school children. And here's what she had to say on national television.
So turn, while I have you, Senator, to that devastating bombing of a girls' school in southern Iran. According to an ongoing military investigation, the U.S. was responsible, and outdated information could be to blame. You're a member of the Intelligence Committee. You're briefed on all of this. What information are you receiving, first of all, about this?
Well, I have very deep concerns about how this site was targeted. Obviously, it was next to naval operations, but even in New York Times reporting this morning, they were able to see the site clearly in publicly available data that shows this was clearly a school. So I have very serious questions that I asked in the Armed Services Committee hearing this morning of our top generals, asking specifically, how was this location targeted? What tools were used? Was AI used? What is the oversight responsibility of commanders to make sure these sites aren't targeted? I want to know what Secretary Hegseth knew about this targeting. He has undermined the resources that we put aside in the armed services to ensure that civilians are not targeted in any military operations. And he has degraded that those sets of personnel and resources. I don't think we've had the oversight and accountability that we are entitled to. We have yet to have an open hearing on the Iran war in the Armed Services Committee. So I have a great deal of questions. And I think Secretary Hegseth should resign because of this failure in being more precise. This operation was on the first day of operations. All sites were selected, pre-targeted by our military with arguably great care and great precision. And so how they missed that this was a girls' school is very concerning to me. If Secretary Hegseth did not cut the funding for this area of review by 90%, if Secretary Hegseth did not continually try to undermine the rules and the procedures that our service members and our generals take, I think he should resign because of this failure.
All right, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, thank you very much for joining us.
Amen to that. I agree with everything the senator said there. But Pete Hegseth should have resigned a long time ago when it came to that signal chat nonsense, right? But there was no responsibility taken then. There's no responsibility taken now. The first thing that Pete Hegseth should have done with his stupid incompetence is say, we screwed up. Or in professional terms, we made a mistake. Whether it was faulty intelligence, you don't have to flat out say, I'm incompetent. I don't expect him to do that because that's the truth. But at least say, hey, you know what? We screwed up. We made a mistake. And then you have the orange orangutan going out there saying it was Iran. You have the orange orangutan going out there blaming Iran when we know that they don't have Tomahawk missiles. I mean, this is easily fact-checked. And it makes our president look like the buffoon that he is. And then you have Senator Andy Kim. So Senator Andy Kim, who I have a lot of respect for, spoke truth. And he said, yeah, the responsibility lies on the top, Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. Listen to this.
About this bombing of an elementary school that killed dozens of children and many more civilians. Sources to CNN say that the U.S. military used outdated images of an area that it struck in Iran, which led to that deadly strike. You argue that there was something in place that could have prevented something like this happening. What's the argument?
Yeah, the argument is that I, a couple years ago, worked alongside my colleagues to pass into law something called the Civilian Protection Center. This is something that's at the Department of Defense, at the Pentagon, something that has personnel who are focused on this effort of ensuring protection of civilians, of reducing the risks that we see unfold here. The problem, though, is Secretary Hegseth decided to gut this office last year, has dramatically reduced down the staff, not implementing the budget that is necessary. Again, this was a bipartisan piece of legislation passed into law that I helped draft. Because of this, I worked at the National Security Council. I've been there for targeting packages for a president to approve. This fault lies directly on President Trump and Secretary Hegseth. They are clearly the ones that gave the orders in terms of how they should go about the risk analysis. And without this type of office, it shows just how much this administration has deprioritized the protection of civilians. And now we find ourselves facing one of the worst losses of life of civilians at the hands of Americans in decades.
And more than a week on, we're still waiting for the full report there to be made
There
public.
needs to be a thorough investigation.
You're asking for a thorough investigation, as are some of your colleagues. Senator Andy Kim.
Not just of the, yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what he was saying there, and I agree with him, is that it's not just Democrats that want a full investigation. It's also many Republicans that want a full investigation. I think that's extremely important to note. And now Elizabeth Warren in D.C. earlier today is questioning Reid, and rightfully so, that we're nearly 2 weeks into this war already. And there has been a request from Rubio, or the question that was asked is, Rubio made any requests at all to Transcom to help evacuate Americans? As you know, thousands of Americans are still stranded in Iran. There was literally no evacuation plan. And Reid is asked about this from Elizabeth Warren. And again, it proves the point that there was no contingency plan and really no plan in general in this war. Have a listen to this.
So General Reid, let me ask you, if the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense asked Transcom for help to evacuate Americans, would you provide that support?
Senator, I would.
Thank you. So General Reid, we're almost 2 weeks into this war. Have Secretary Rubio and State Department made any requests for Transcom to help evacuate Americans out of the Middle East?
Senator, on the 28th of February, the Department of State made a request to my department for that, and we have provided some assistance.
So you're saying they made that request back on February 28th?
Yes, Senator.
So when we called them yesterday, they said they had not asked you for assistance. Can you explain why that would be so?
Senator, I cannot explain that.
I just don't understand this. And you have been helping them all this time?
Senator, what we have done is through Central Command have responded to the request for the State Department to provide airlift at locations that they have specified.
And how much have you airlifted in this period of time? How many people?
Senator, I'll have to get that number
Can you
for you
give
for
me
the
a
record.
rough idea?
Senator, it's been in the hundreds.
Hundreds, not in the thousands.
That's correct. But I will say that as we continue to watch the situation, there have been other flights and other opportunities for American citizens to get out of the way. Some of that has been by ground transportation, and some of it has been by commercial charters by the State Department.
Are you saying you're not doing more because you think that Americans who are in the region are currently being adequately served by commercial flights and private vehicles out of the region? Is that what you're saying?
Senator, what I'm saying is we have responded to requests for specific tasks in conjunction with the commercial flights and what Transcom is providing. There are a number of ways to get our citizens out of harm's way.
Okay, and what I'm trying to understand is why you're not doing more, because I'm hearing from my constituents who are stranded there, who've been stranded there for 2 weeks, and they're asking for help, and they're not getting help from the U.S. government. And you're telling me that you're not helping because you think they've got plenty of other ways to get out of the region? Or is it that Secretary Rubio is not asking you for that help? I just want to understand who bears responsibility here.
Senator, it is the responsibility of all to care for the citizens that we have in harm's way. And as we receive a tasking and the opportunities to do that, Transcom is responding.
That is an example of incompetence, a lack of leadership, and not able to answer the most basic questions that Elizabeth Warren is asking Reid. It's insane. Now, I told you guys from the get-go when this war started that I feel less safe now in the United States of America. Why? Well, for starters, I told you sleeper cells, that bad people from Iran are going to retaliate, and it would not surprise me if there were sleeper cells in the United States of America. I said that a few weeks ago. And now, all of a sudden, the orange orangutan is talking about sleeper cells. He thinks. Watch this.
7 years that way.
And if they try to hit us back, have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst president in the history of our country. And we've got our eyes on all of them. But the war itself is being prosecuted at a level that nobody's seen before. It's pretty.
So he doesn't really know what he's talking about, even though he says there most likely are sleeper cells in this country. And I'm telling you that, God forbid, I hope this doesn't happen, but if there's a horrible terrorist attack in this country, he's going to blame Joe Biden. Anything and everything that happens from, day one that is negative, that they can't make excuses for. If, God forbid, and again, like I said, I hope this doesn't happen, we have another 9/11, and we know Iran is behind it, he will blame Joe Biden and open border policy. Make no mistake about it. I hope it doesn't happen. But if we do have a terrorist attack in this country, the last major attack we had, of course, 9/11 under George W. Bush, they didn't protect us. It will not be because of Joe Biden. It will not be because of alleged open border policy. It will be because Donald Trump has bombed Iran and 8 other countries in the last year. It is the responsibility of Donald Trump and his administration to make the United States a safe place to be. Now we have sleeper cells in this country that are itching to kill innocent Americans. Geez, I wonder why that is. I wonder what Donald Trump could have done in the last couple of weeks to get some of these sleeper cells in here that could be harming American citizens. Geez, I wonder why. But yeah, let's blame Joe Biden. Let's blame Pete Buttigieg. Let's blame Barack Obama. Blame Bill Clinton. Blame George Soros. Anything and any time anything happens that is a negative on the administration, we could be talking about the gas prices, which are obviously directive from the war in Iran. We could be talking about tariffs and the $175 billion that they stole from the American consumer. We could be talking about how the war in Ukraine is continuing. He still blames Joe Biden for that, even though he said he would end the war within 24 hours. We could be talking about Medicaid and food stamps taken away from Americans while they've spent almost $10 billion in this war in just a week. And here's Donald Trump lying about the economy once again. Here's Donald Trump talking about inflation plummeting and everything's headed in the right direction. Everything he says in this statement is full of lies. Watch this.
And that's despite the fact that we have a lot of people that shouldn't have been allowed in here that are murderers. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising. The economy is roaring back. And America is respected again, perhaps respected like never before. Every single day of my administration, with the help of the great people of Kentucky, yeah, I love Kentucky. We will keep on working, and we will fight, and we will win.
Yeah, we're winning. Win. Kentucky, win. As we go to the YouTube super chat, where instructor says Iran expands war with major cyber attack against U.S. company medical strike. I'll have to take a look into that. I'm unaware of that, but I will certainly take a look at that. Doesn't shock me. Doesn't surprise me, instructor, one bit. And now I want to move on to Scott Jennings, because this is a guy on CNN every night that is a paid contributor, and CNN should be ashamed of themselves for paying this guy a dime, who spews right-wing propaganda and lies, because as we all know, he's trying to be the next press secretary when Caroline Leavitt leaves for maternity leave. By the way, Republicans are trying to take away maternity leave, paid leave for women. But Scott Jennings, again, when asked about the disrespect that Donald Trump showed for fallen soldiers wearing that stupid baseball cap, Scott Jennings likes to point out the disrespect that Joe Biden showed towards military members. Keep in mind, Donald Trump's the guy who called these people suckers and losers. Donald Trump is the guy who said he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured. Listen to this Trump mushroom gobbler, Scott Jennings, last night on CNN.
Investigation, and he took full accountability and responsibility for that.
Did you agree with the president when the president, after all the Afghanistan investigations, judged it to be a raging success, President Biden?
Well, I didn't say that. I think he didn't say that.
There was
He did
also-
not say it was a
he
raging
said it was
success.
he said it was a big
No,
success.
Last night in Kabul, the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history. The extraordinary success of this mission.
So
He actually
investigations
expressed the
into
solemnity of the
Afghanistan
moment of the withdrawal.
and all the failures
Yes.
that
I know,
went
but
into
the
that.
commander
So
in
that
chief still
was
thinks it
that
was
was
great.
done, and that
I
was
do not think he
investigated.
came out when
So,
the deaths of service
mean,
members were there, when we had deaths of
you-
service
are you
members
suggesting-
saying it was
He checked his
successful.
watch at the remains transfer, didn't he?
He's bowed his head several times. He places his hand over his heart.
So there you have Scott Jennings making a statement there about Joe Biden for a split half a second looking at his watch. By the way, he did that. It was almost like a nervous tick. He did that every day. But Joe Biden never called these brave men and women in uniform suckers and losers. Joe Biden didn't dodge the military 6 times. In fact, his son, Beau Biden, served. Joe Biden didn't crap on our military. He didn't attack John McCain and say he didn't respect POWs because they were captured. And Joe Biden certainly wasn't wearing a baseball cap because he didn't want people to look at his hair, his fake hair transplants dusting up in the wind. But Scott Jennings takes a half a second to say, look at the way Joe Biden disrespected our brave men and women. How could anybody take what anything Scott Jennings says seriously? He is a moron. He is a Trump mushroom gobbler. He is a despicable human being. And I would love the opportunity to say that to his face. He is trying out for a job in the Trump administration. The fact that CNN pays him at all is a effing embarrassment, is what it is. And he is a scumbag. Scott Jennings, you are a douchebag. Scott Jennings, you are everything that America should not be. Speaking of everything America should not be, what about this idiot Jake Paul? I want you to listen to this moron, Jake Paul, who got up there on a stage with Donald Trump, 2 fraudsters up on the same stage together. And he said Donald Trump taught him courage. Watch this.
And he walked out with a broken jaw. This was not the greatest fight. But you know what it showed? Lots of courage. Come here, Jake. Say it. These are your people.
Yeah, what Mr. Trump has taught me is courage. You know, we never back down from a fight, even if they're much bigger than you, much bigger than you. And I feel all the local Kentuckians feel the same way. You guys have that fight. You guys have that swag. There's a lot of young kids in here. The future of America. I grew up just a few hours away from here, and my dad taught me to fight. And all of our voices matter in America. And I'm never afraid to speak the truth. And I know you guys aren't. We are here representing the United States. And it's just a blessing. Thank you, Mr. Trump. We need more factories like this thriving all over the country. And I know he's going to be the one to bring that here to us. I know God is with us. I know he wants us on the right side of history. And everyone here has to do their part. And God's got us. Trump's got us. God bless. Love you, Kentucky.
No, he's a great guy. He's a courageous guy and a talented guy. He's a hell of a fighter, too, by the way. And I just want to say, I'm going to make a prediction that you will be, in the not too distant future, running for political office. Okay? And you have my complete and total endorsement. Okay? No, that's what we want. He's an incredible guy. A lot of courage and smarts.
Yeah, another con man who's going to support another con man. Jake Paul and his scripted fights. And I'm not shocked that Donald Trump is supporting this lunatic. Again, another con. And he says that Donald Trump taught him bravery, courage. The same guy who dodged the military, who wakes up in the morning and puts on 8 layers of orange makeup to hide what he really looks like and who he really is, and his 4 hair transplants and his fake teeth. But Jake Paul wants to say that Donald Trump taught him courage. By the way, Donald Trump's never fought for anybody but himself his entire life. The two of them are con men. They're two of the same. I don't recall Jake Paul ever been accused of rape, but maybe I'm wrong on that one. I don't know. I'm ill-informed, I guess, on his history with women. But these are two con men. And anybody who says that Donald Trump taught them bravery doesn't understand what the definition of courage or bravery is. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, one of my favorite political commentators is going to be joining us next. You see him everywhere on all the national networks, on all the podcasts. My friend Wajahad Ali is going to be joining us next. We've got a lot to get to with him. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this, and then we will take your phone calls as well. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Here's the deal. The country's a mess, and America's youth is stuck at the center of a tug-of-war between propaganda, billionaires, and political clowns who think TikTok is a national security threat, yet can't open their own email. But the real threat that keeps them up at night isn't TikTok. It's the power of the youth vote, and that's what the Unfuck America tour is after. We're traveling the country, hitting campuses and cities, exposing the right wing's playbook, and calling out all the tricks they use to hook young people. We saw the youth vote shift in 2024, and if we don't reclaim that momentum now, we lose the future. Our future. We're not bankrolled by billionaires, corporations, or dark money. We're backed by regular people like you, who won't sit back while the rich strip this country for parts. We need you to help us stay on the road to push back against the misinformation machine. Click the link in the description or head over to unfuckamericatour.com to donate, because nobody else is coming to fix this mess.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having way more fun. Hi, I'm Nicole Mitchell, and I'm a life coach. I help you get hotter and richer. If that is what you're looking for, you can find me at NicoleMitchell.com. My name, Nicole, is with a K, NicoleMitchell.com. You can reach out to me on my website or on Instagram, and I will be happy to be in touch and figure out what you're looking for and how I can support you in getting there.
Here's the deal. The country's a mess, and America's youth is stuck at the center of a tug-of-war between propaganda, billionaires, and political clowns who think TikTok is a national security threat, yet can't open their own email. But the real threat that keeps them up at night isn't TikTok. It's the power of the youth vote, and that's what the Unfuck America tour is after. We're traveling the country, hitting campuses and cities, exposing the right wing's playbook and calling out all the tricks they use to hook young people. We saw the youth vote shift in 2024, and if we don't reclaim that momentum now, we lose the future, our future. We're not bankrolled by billionaires, corporations, or dark money. We're backed by regular people like you, who won't sit back while the rich strip this country for parts. We need you to help us stay on the road to push back against the misinformation machine. Click the link in the description or head over to unfuckamericatour.com to donate, because nobody else is coming to fix this mess.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. A lot of special guests lined up for you. I don't know. I've heard a rumor that Donald Trump could be joining us tomorrow. Could be John DiDomenico. I don't know. But appreciate everybody being here. Obviously, gas prices through the roof. Inflation headed in the wrong direction. Prices at the supermarket. Losing our soldiers in an ill-advised war. The war in Ukraine still going strong. Vladimir Putin stronger now than ever. And Donald Trump continues to blame Joe Biden for everything. The awesome political commentator, and he's one of my favorites that's joining us on the show right now. He's got a great podcast. I love his Substack, and just love his commentary. It's been a little while since we were lucky enough to be joined by the great Wajahad Ali. Wajahad, it's great to see you, my friend. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, man? Yeah, it's Ramadan timings. It's so when you're fasting and your country has decided to go in an illegal and disastrous war, and you're run by dumbasses who are cosplaying as real life masculine men who totally aren't insecure and have small peepees. It's really hard to get back with you, but I'm so glad you reached out.
Wajahad, it's always such a pleasure having you on, man. I love your podcast. I love what you do. Where do I even begin here? We've heard 5 or 6 different excuses as to why we went to war in Iran. Then Donald Trump is blaming Iran for a Tomahawk missile that we were responsible for, where hundreds of children lost their lives. What do you make of this debacle and the continued incompetence of this administration?
We are being destroyed by the world's dumbest people who are cosplaying as crusaders. It's all LARPing all the time. And if you don't believe me, earlier today, Kash Patel, hey, it's me, Kash. I love white women. Hey, white women, I'm here now. Sorry, too soon. Kash Patel, if you don't believe what I just said, Kash Patel just announced, our FBI director, that UFC fighters are going to be training our FBI agents. This is where we are, folks. Where cosplay crusader Pete Hegseth, who tries to work out with the Navy SEALs and can't even do pull-ups and has all the crusader tattoos and is spending $93 billion, and I'm not making this up, $93 billion on a piano, on salmon, on ribeye steaks, is now acting tough and saying apparently Americans have to go die in this useless war or else they're gay, which is pretty much how he talks, right? Hey, man, you don't want to be gay, right? Go die for this war, bro. That's all these people. They're all weak, insecure, fragile men, much like their king and daddy, Donald Trump, who realizes he's underwater. And 2 things can be true at the same time, Brian. I was just talking to Perry Bacon, where Donald Trump can be dog-walked into this war by Benjamin Netanyahu and cosplay crusaders and white Christian nationalists because he truly believes, because I'm sure Lindsey Graham, I'm sure you've seen the reporting, Lindsey Graham and Netanyahu got in his ear and said, Donald Trump, this Lindsey here, you'll be the most fantastic president of all time. Don't listen to Tucker Carlson. Go ahead and get that Khamenei. He's bad. You get him. Muslims will love you. They will. They'll love me, won't they? Yeah, you're going to do something that nobody else could do. Yeah, that's right. Obama didn't do it. So 2 things can be true at the same time. He actually decides to pursue this for the white Christian nationalists, for Netanyahu, and for whatever reasons that was in his dementia-addled brain. And it's also a distraction from the Epstein story and also from surging gas prices and grocery prices. Ultimately, though, I do think it's a tragedy, Brian, because I'm so glad you mentioned the schoolgirls.
Yep.
Our country has illegally engaged in a war with Iran, was dog-walked by a war criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu, has no exit strategy, has no actual plans. When I was old enough to remember, Brian, and you might be old enough to remember, at least the Bush administration
Sure.
had the decency to at least manufacture a performance and a lie. Weapons of mass destruction. There was a UN hearing. Colin Powell came out. He took the vial. Remember that?
I do.
These people are so lazy. They can't even agree on shared talking points. Mark Wayne Wellen said it isn't a war. And then they're like, sir, Pete Hegseth said it's a war. Oh, then Donald Trump yesterday said it's an excursion. Then he said it's regime change. No, it's not regime change. Okay, Iranians, rise up. Never mind. The fact that we're being led to death by the world's most reckless, incompetent people, and the fact they're so cruel, Brian, that school, here he is saying, okay, Iranian people, I liberated you. That same day, a U.S. Tomahawk missile struck a school, killing 165 girls, Brian. So imagine if you're Iranian and 85% of Iranians hated that regime. Now what are they going to do? They're going to be, for the rest of their lives, God forbid, Brian, if this happened to us, inshallah, it never happens to any of us. You go to school, you're trying to pick up your daughter, and the entire school is blown up. For the rest of your life, what are you going to say? Death to America, cursing America, right? And now Iranians are circling the wagons because they've killed over thousands of Iranians. They've displaced over 700,000 Lebanese people. People aren't talking about that. Israel is attacking Beirut also right now. They attacked oil refineries, which is a war crime. They attacked desalination plants, right? And Iran's in it. Iran's like, we're going to bleed. We're going to make you bleed. There's no exit strategy. And I find it to be a tragedy, Brian, and it makes me really ashamed, really ashamed.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. If you're just joining us, Wajahad Ali. So Wajahad, as you mentioned, they can't even come to the same conclusions on talking points of reasons why we went to war. And there's no contingency plan to get these Americans out, on top of the fact that look at how much this is costing us, besides American lives, which should be the top priority here, right? Brave men and women in uniform and innocent civilians. But it was close to, correct me if I'm wrong, $10 billion just for a week of this war. Meanwhile, they're taking away Medicaid and they're taking away food stamps to needy Americans.
$12 billion over the first 6 days. $12 billion. And also we might run out of some munitions. And also Iran is choking the Strait of Hormuz. And you've seen directly the price of oil has gone up. In Florida, where it's actually pretty affordable, my in-laws are from Florida, now it's $5 a gallon. And furthermore, it's not just the price in oil. We know that if you stop the shipment of oil, it also impacts, wait for it, global economies, right? So now our allies are saying, oh my God, we might have to tap into oil reserves. So who is it ultimately helping? It's helping Russia. Russia wants to prolong this war. We know that Russia is actually giving intelligence to Iran, targeting U.S. sites. And Russia says, oh, we have an oil supply. This could single-handedly revitalize Putin's dwindling economy, right? Who else does it help? Helps China. China is now being seen globally as a respectable, kind of solid partner, and people would much rather move to China than deal with the United States of America. Who is it hurting? The United States of America. It's hurting our reputation. It's revealing us to be weak, unreliable. And furthermore, I want to remind people, U.S.-Iran had a deal. Obama had a diplomatic coup with the U.S.-Iran deal. Iran came to the table. We gave them sanction relief, and diplomacy was working. Who blew it up, Brian? Donald Trump and Netanyahu, who last year got dog-walked by Israel again and the white Christian nationalists and obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities. He didn't obliterate them. Trump. So if you're Iran right now, think about it, folks. Based on what we said, you came in good. And look, two things can be true at the same time. You can criticize Iran, the Islamic Republic, the repressive. Yes. Iran comes to the table, Brian. Iran says, we did everything right, and you blew up the deal. Imagine, Brian, our allies looking at that and saying, wait a second, we can't trust America. Then Iran's looking at this and saying, oh my God, you tried to take out our reactors. And now Iran is saying, no matter what we do, Israel is hell-bent on destroying us. So for Iran now, Brian, it's an existential threat. Now I'm going to say something that Americans don't like to hear.
Okay.
America and Israel as the big bullies. We can dish it, Brian. Our communities, our societies aren't used to taking it. We do not have an appetite for American soldiers being killed. Let's just be honest. We're used to dishing it. We ain't used to taking it. And never in my lifetime would I have seen from the jump, that a war in the Middle East was actually more unpopular And each week it's getting more and more and more unpopular. And what Iran is saying now, Brian, for those who don't follow this, it's a strategy. It's very calm. The foreign minister was calm as one could be. He's like, we planned for this. We're prepared. We're going to bleed America. We're going to bleed Israel. We're going to bleed the Middle East. We're going to bleed our allies. Yeah. We're going to gouge you because we want you to learn that anytime you want Israel to go after us, anytime you want Saudi Arabia to go after us, we want you to remember how much it cost you. So Iran's now in this, Brian. Iran's going to bleed us. It's going to bleed the Middle Eastern allies. It's going to bleed Europe, and it's going to bleed Israel because for them, this is existential. What they're banking on, and I think this is a correct bet, we will bleed. We're going to bleed to our last kid. That's fine. We love our country. We're going to make sure you bleed. We can take it. Can you take it? And I don't think we can.
So I agree with you, Wajahad, and I think, correct me if you agree or not with this, but I think you can make the argument Iran could be in a better position with a younger person or regime in there that might be more capable than an old and feeble Ayatollah who we took out, which I don't shed a tear for, and I know you don't either. But if you're bringing younger people in there, that you could make the argument more capable of doing more harm. I mean, and then Trump says yesterday, oh, well, I think we have sleeper cells in the United States of America. And then if there's another terrorist attack here, he's going to blame Joe Biden and the open borders. I mean, it's insane.
Let me tell you what just happened, folks. It's going to sound so dumb, but this is a fact. What Donald Trump did in the past 2 weeks is he killed the elder ailing Khamenei and replaced him with the younger, now more radical Khamenei, Mustafa Khamenei, who was already more hardline, but now you've killed his father. I think you killed his wife, and you killed his daughter, and you injured him. All right. Yeah. So, mashallah, congratulations. What did the United States do? I killed the older, dying Khamenei and replaced him with the younger, more radicalized Khamenei. Thank you. Give me an award. What did the United States do in Afghanistan? We spent 2 decades in Afghanistan to get rid of Taliban, only to literally give the keys back to the Taliban after 2 decades. That's what happened, Brian. Now in Iran, I said this, 2 weeks ago, I said, okay, you have attacked Khamenei during Ramadan. You've killed the supreme leader. And if I may, Brian, for your audience, if they don't know, about 85% of Muslims are Sunni. I'm Sunni. About 15% are Shia. Iran is majority Shia. With the Islamic Revolution, it's ruled by something called Velayat-e-Fiqh, the guardianship of the jurists. So that's where you get the Islamic Republic. For many Shias, it's not just political leadership, it's spiritual religious leadership. So if you assassinate their supreme leader, now it becomes what? Religious. Now look at the framing of Lindsey Graham. What did he say? This is a religious war. Look at Mike Huckabee. Look at Pete Hegseth, right? Now that you're joining Israel, which is also using religious language, right? What did I say? Like you said, there's going to be blowback. There's going to be blowback by, I don't know, Shias who get radicalized. In Pakistan, my family's country, I predicted it. I said the second largest population of Shias is in Pakistan. U.S. consulate was attacked by enraged Shias, all right? What's the majority population of Bahrain? Oppressed Shias. Majority population of Iraq? Shias. Lebanon? Shias. Iran has proxies and allies. Hezbollah, Houthis. All you need is a radicalized individual who does one act of terrorism, asymmetrical warfare. I don't know, maybe drive a car into a synagogue, which is what happened today. We don't know who did it, but thankfully the shooter was killed. There was no one who was hurt. But you have now asymmetrical warfare all around. And, Brian, who gets to choke off the Strait of Hormuz? Iran.
Right.
No exit strategy, no shared talking points, whether this is a war or a conflict. They still haven't decided. Excursion, war. He mentions regime change. Okay, how do you do regime change if you have no ground troops?
Of course. Yep.
And now you killed Khamenei without realizing these people are so stupid. They didn't realize, okay, great, you killed Khamenei. There'll just be a succession. Okay, great, you killed some senior leaders, but the Islamic Revolutionary Guard is still intact. And without any ground troops, there's not going to be any regime change. You just give them weeks, and now they come back stronger. And
Wajahad,
even more lethal.
And Wajahad, we haven't even talked about, speaking of stronger, what about Vladimir Putin and Russia? Look at the position that they've put Vladimir Putin in now with oil. And now we've learned that Russia and Putin, they've used intelligence and they've helped Iran. And you notice how Donald Trump and this administration, they aren't really talking about it. And if they're asked about it, they're saying, well, that's not good. We need to talk to them about it. And we just were told that Trump had conversations with Putin, a couple conversations in the last week, and they went great. They're helping Iran and giving Iran intelligence, and somehow Donald Trump is rewarding Putin. It's insane. It's crazy.
It literally helps Putin. It helps Putin. It'll help China. And in the short run, Israel thinks it'll help Israel in the short run. I do not think it helps Israel in the long run at all. I think it's a Pyrrhic victory. So it helps the world's worst people. And has it helped America? It makes America more isolated, makes America more loathed. It makes America globally, Brian, a target, right? Globally, because it's not just U.S. consulates, also our troops, also tourists, also American companies, American franchises, and America at home. Like we said, asymmetrical warfare. All it takes is one or two individuals who are radicalized, maybe some sleeper agents, or maybe just people who are pissed off and loco, who just, take a gun in America and go shoot up, I don't know, a church or a synagogue, right? This is asymmetrical warfare. Iran banked on it. And Iran is going to continue this, folks. I'm telling you, even if Donald Trump says, okay, the war is over, it's finished. No, what he set in motion is a chain reaction. The reason why Iran is going to be committed to this, folks, is they're going to gouge. They're going to gouge Europe, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and the United States to ensure that the next time Israel does this, the world protects Israel instead of joining Israel, because they realize Israel is not going to stop, Brian, until they remove the leadership. It's a cluster F, and you might have just made the Islamic Republic great again, because even though 85% of the country is against the Islamic Republic, remember what happened with 9/11? What was Bush's initial approval ratings? Like 90%?
Yeah.
People circle the wagons.
Yep. Yeah, no, you're right about that. And I think back to 9/11 and the lie of weapons of mass destruction. And I think of the thousands of American soldiers that lost their lives and the hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqi civilians. And for what? And all the money. We're still paying off that war. And the thing that is amazing, I use the term hypocrisy a lot, right, Wajahad? And I know you do as well, because we were told that Trump told us he was going to be a peace president, a no new war president, no new regime president. We were told the war in Ukraine was going to be over in 24 hours. We were told a lot of things. And I didn't believe him. But yet some of his supporters did, and they still support him. And I just don't understand that. I mean, what is it? Why is it that these people can't learn their lesson from what took place under George W. Bush? And now we're going, what changed in the last 8 months? As you said, we obliterated their nuclear capabilities, allegedly, even though Tulsi Gabbard, where has she been lately, Wajahad, right? She testified under oath 10 months ago that they had no reason to believe that they had furthered their capabilities. So what changed in the last 8 months?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Our own intelligence, our own Pentagon and international agencies have concluded that Iran was not close to nuclear weapons. Right. Furthermore, the ballistic missiles cannot reach America. Our own intelligence says this. Our own Defense Department says this, right? So what imminent threat? There was no imminent threat. So notice now that they've backed off from the imminent threat. Then Marco Rubio says, actually, it wasn't an imminent threat, but Israel had already made its mind to attack. So we decided if Israel's already going to attack, then there were probably going to be retaliation against us. So we preemptively struck. And then he walked it back the next day. And then the Washington Post and Times of Israel and the New York Times corroborated that Benjamin Netanyahu came in and bullied / charmed Lindsey Graham / charmed, right? So that was the whole, I think they just came in and said they know how to move him, right? They know how to move him. And this is where I think, many Democrats and also many Republicans are sick and tired of AIPAC. They're sick and tired of Benjamin Netanyahu. They're sick and tired of this genocidal regime, because this war is unpopular. Over 70% of Americans don't want this war. And like you said, many people in MAGA, not all, but Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others, like, you promised no forever wars. You promised America won't be the world's policeman. And now Lindsey Graham and Pete Hegseth and others are openly saying, die for Israel. Die for your white Christian nationalist dream. Mike Huckabee, hey, we got, this is a just war. So I think what's happening now is a part of their base, Brian, because if you look at the polls, a part of the base is finally waking up. I think this war has woken them up. I think the Epstein crisis scandal, where clearly it's a cover-up. I think we can agree this is a cover-up. They're breaking off of that. And now And this is what makes it really sad about being Americans. You would think, I don't know, ICE terrorizing Americans would wake people up. Nah. You would think ICE killing Renee Nickel-Good would wake people up. Nah. You would think the trade war would wake people up. Nah. You would think going after trans kids for no reason would wake people up. Nah. You would think dismantling our healthcare system and making measles great again would wake people up. Nah. You know what's really made people wake up the past 2 weeks? Not just the grocery prices going up, gas prices going up. And I don't know if you saw that video of a MAGA Trumper. He went to the gas station. He took a video of paying like a lot more this week of gas. He finally removed his Trump sticker from 2024, right? So, I mean, this is America. I think if you look at all the polls, man, he's 36% approval rating. The Marist poll showed for the first time that non-educated whites are leaving him. He's 22 to 25% approval rating with independents, folks. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
And Republicans did a dummy mander. They assumed Latino Republicans in Texas would continue voting for them. They overreached on the economy. They overreached on immigration. And these Latino Republicans, they might be the reason, Brian, that Texas turns slightly blue.
I hope so. And I love Tellerico. I think he's a very intelligent and bright young man. I want to ask you this, Wajahad, because, you know, I'm a big fan of Mehdi Hasan. And I'll be honest with you, a year or two ago, I had some criticisms for him. I even said some things on the air that I regret, and I've since apologized for it. I at one point, I said, I think he might be anti-Semitic, and I was wrong, because I believe, just like him, that you can criticize Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government, and I agree with him now 100%, and I was wrong, and I own that. A lot of people on the right look at people like Mehdi Hasan and people like you, based on where you're from, and they say, denaturalize and deport Wajahad Ali. Why? Because you disagree with him? Why? Because he's making good points and he's making you look bad? I assume you probably get that a lot too. I see a lot of this on the right now, the Laura Loomers of the world, deport all Muslims. You're hearing this from a large base on the radical right, as I would call them, that want people who look like you deported for no reason, even though you're a U.S. citizen. Why? Because they disagree with you? I would imagine you're getting that as well.
I mean, forget the radical right, mainstream right. Folks, earlier today, about 5 hours ago, Senator Tommy Tuberville, the dumbest senator in the Senate, used Nazi language, and he shared a photo. Did you see this? You can check it out right now if you have it. Yeah. So on the left is a photo of the two towers burning, and on the right is a photo of Zoran Mamdani opening his fast with New Yorkers. And he said, they let the enemies inside the gate. Well, why did Tommy Tuberville use that Nazi language? Because if you haven't been following, for the past 2 days, another traitor, a person who supports the January 6th insurrection, Representative Andy Ogles of Tennessee, has been on an Islamophobic heater where literally for 2 days he's been doing nonstop, send Muslims away, Muslims don't belong, pluralism has failed. And then a couple of weeks before that, Randy Fine openly said and tweeted with his full chest, mainstream Muslims like me and Mehdi should be executed. And then he said, Muslims, if I had a choice between Muslims and dogs, let's keep the dogs, take out the Muslims. None of them have been censured. Now, let me tell you all, none of them have been censured. In the past 2 days, the Andy Ogles comments were so egregious that it actually caught mainstream, local, national, and international news. As we're fighting a war in Iran during Ramadan, do you think that's smart? As people are using the word crusade and holy war, no Republican leader, as of now, it's been 2 days, I've been tracking this, Republican leaders have not denounced it. So what you're getting now is the mainstreaming of Nazi rhetoric against Muslims coinciding with a holy war in Iran, where the United States has joined Israel in literally assassinating the supreme leader. And you have Jake Lang. I don't know if you saw this 2-3 days ago. Jake Lang led an anti-Islam protest against Mamdani. Jake Lang is a January 6th insurrectionist who was pardoned by Donald Trump. Jake Lang says, Hail Hitler. Jake Lang loves the N-word. Guess who defends Jake Lang? Andy Ogles. Folks, how do you think, can I just tie this? Because people might be like, I'm not Muslim, I don't care. Let me tell you why you should care. How do you think this plays out globally? How do you think this will play out with our enemies? How do you think this will play out with, I don't know, ISIS and Al-Qaeda? How do you think this will play out with white supremacists and Nazis? How do you think this will play out with Jewish supremacists? These hate mongers are dividing us. They're the ones pouring gasoline on the fire. For them, this is great. They get more recruitment. They get more soldiers, but the rest of us die. That's what you see this. And the Republicans don't care because they're hate mongers, and they realize their base is now groypers. Brian, I hate to say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. And now the data shows it. I've been saying the present and future of the GOP is Nazi. People said, Waj, you're crazy. Look at the latest polls that just came out. A majority of young Republicans are Holocaust deniers.
Yep.
They're all groypers. The president of college Republicans loves Nick Fuentes, who loves Hitler. You saw the latest the leak of Florida college Republicans, right, from last week?
Yep.
All those texts.
Yep.
Love Hitler, love the N-word.
Elon Musk is a part of this as well. I mean, he pushes these narratives on social media, on X, almost every single day. And you're absolutely right, Wajahad. This is where the Republican Party is headed. I was at AmFest in Phoenix. They had a big groyper issue there, but guess what? They didn't denounce them. They didn't kick them out. Nope. You know, the Myron Gaines types of the world, that they allowed them in their, what I would call large Klan rally. And I agree with you. I got a lot of flack for saying this last year and a half ago when Trump was running for office. I said, when I go to some of his rallies, it feels like I'm at a Klan rally. Yep. And I still feel that way. Wajahad, I still feel that way. I'm not saying everybody that voted for Trump is a Klansman, but what I am saying is everybody that is in the KKK, everybody that is a racist and a bigot, surely voted for Donald Trump. That's what I am saying.
No, I mean, look, man, just listen to them. Look at the young Republicans. In New York, just last week it was reported that the New York young Republican president went to South Africa to speak at a white nationalist conference.
Yep.
Look at the Telegram texts that were released in September by Politico, thousands of them, where they praise Hitler. They imagine throwing us into gas chambers. They love the N-word. This is who they are. This is the present and future of the party. Donald Trump has quoted Hitler, immigrants are poisoning the blood. He promoted the Nazi conspiracy theory of Haitians eating dogs and pets. They're talking about white genocide. And just to bring it back full circle, just because it's kind of chef's kiss, but it's also sad, dark humor, they promoted the white supremacist conspiracy that South African whites were being genocided in South Africa. So they made the exception, right, a couple of months ago to bring in white South Afrikaners. Did you just read the story in Reuters yesterday? Those white South Afrikaners are leaving America because they think it's too violent. So they're allegedly going back to genocide in South Africa because under Trump, America has become such a shithole. People are leaving. I don't know if you saw this 2 weeks ago. Wall Street Journal did this piece where a record amount of Americans now are fleeing America. It makes me sad, Brian. We could have had it all, but white supremacy destroyed us.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But if you talk to somebody like a Tucker Carlson, he'll continue the narrative of the idea of white supremacy is a hoax. It's not a hoax. It's here. And sadly, so long as Donald Trump is here, it's certainly going to be here to stay. Wajahad, I love what you do. Please, before I let you go, and I so appreciate your time, give out that information. You have a great podcast that I listen to all the time. And a great Substack. I know you don't charge for it, but you accept donations, and I want my listeners to support what you do because I think you truly are one of the best in the business. Can you give out that information for the listeners?
No, thank you so much, man, and you're doing great work as well. It's the Left Hook. It's the Left Hook Substack, the lefthook.substack.com/special. And the reason why I did the special is 25% off, even though everything's free. It's all free. But if you want to help, it's $3.75 a month forever. So it's the Left Hook Substack, and I'm on YouTube at YouTube Wajahad Ali. Everything is free. All the content is free. I do believe that freedom and democracy die behind a paywall. So I'm a terrible capitalist. I want everyone to get this information, and I have fantastic conversations with people who are far smarter than me.
Keep up speaking truth, my friend. And I keep saying this, but we got to get on one of those Pierce Morgan panels together because they keep having me on, but I'm never on with you. So we got to keep doing it,
they've invited me every week, but during Ramadan, it's impossible. So apparently Ramadan's going to end in about a week. Let's do it in April. Let's finally get on together.
Let's do it, man. I'll text them and let's get on that panel together. Wajahad, one of the best in the business. Always appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. We'll let you get back to it, my friend, and we'll talk soon. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That's Wajahad Ali, everybody. Like I said, one of the best in the business. I have so much respect for him. We always joke around because, he does Pierce Morgan a lot. I do Pierce Morgan a lot. But we have to get on the same panel together because I think we would both destroy it. I just think he's so good at what he does. And we appreciate his time. All right. So we've been discussing a lot of different topics on this show. And I appreciate Wajahad for joining us. The new reporting, which speaks truth, that a Tomahawk missile did, in fact, get the school where over 150 to somewhere 150 to 200 school children lost their lives. Yes, it was the United States. It wasn't Iran. And I told you this when this story first came out, that Donald Trump was lying. We're still talking about that. We're talking about how much money this war is costing us. Okay. And the number one priority is obviously loss of life. American soldiers, I think the number's up to 7 now, and it's probably going to keep growing. Sadly, I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. The loss of life, the innocent civilians, both in Israel and Iran, the amount of money that they have spent on just the first 6 days of this war, now estimated somewhere around $12 billion. They've taken 20 million people off of Medicaid. They've taken millions of people off of food stamps. Think about what that money could have done to help our own. Is that America first? You tell me. Stealing $175 billion from the American consumer. Well, you can sue us. You ain't getting the money back. We certainly aren't getting those tariff checks. We're not getting those checks. This is not America first. This is America last. And when are you people finally going to start to understand that? So the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. Now, if you are a Trump supporter or a MAGA supporter, you are always welcome to call into the show, and we could have a good spirited conversation and a spirited debate, even though we will probably disagree. You are welcome. You have the forum, just like anybody else has the right. And I give them the opportunity to call into the show and speak their mind. You won't find a more interactive show than this show. I'll tell you that right now. So let me give out that number one more time before we get right to the phone calls. And our phone lines get clogged up really quickly, probably faster clogged than Donald Trump's heart and arteries with his KFC that he eats every day. So the number to call once again is 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Phone lines are open now. Let's go to Demetrius. Demetrius is first up on PTL. Hello, Demetrius.
Hey, Brian, how you doing this afternoon?
Hey, doing good, Demetrius. What's up? What's on your mind today, my friend?
Man, I love the show. Love the show, man.
Thank you.
I just wanted to call and just say, keep your foot on their neck for me, please. That's all I got to go. Take some more callers.
Thank you, Demetrius. I appreciate those kind words. And as long as there are people out there like you that support what I do, then I will continue to keep doing my thing, my friend. And I appreciate it. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-SAVE. Tomris is next up on PTL. Hey, Tomris, what's up?
What's going on? How are you?
Good. What's up?
Yes, I support prosecuting the war effort in Iran. I support that. I've heard your last guest make a bunch of questionable statements about it. We can go into that if you want to. But
well, let's just talk about your support, Tomris, if that's okay. And I do appreciate you calling in. So what's the imminent threat? So why did we go to war? Well, weren't we told that we obliterated, I think is the correct term, their nuclear capability? So why did we go to war? Let's just start there to begin.
We severely degraded them last July or whatever it was, but no, they're still a hostile country. They're still actively.
So if you're is Russia a hostile country?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, is North Korea a hostile country?
I would say so.
Yeah, okay, so they are. So why aren't we going to war there?
Because they have nukes.
Because they have nukes. But I thought the reason why we went to war is because of their nuclear capabilities. What happened to that narrative? You're saying now they don't have it. Okay, so let's just go with that.
Wait, dude, hold on, wait. You're not. If you invade a country with nukes,
Mhm.
as logic would have it, they will use those nukes against you.
Okay, so the nuclear. Okay, fair enough.
don't develop
So we didn't go. Okay, so we're going there so they don't create nukes. So by that standard, we can attack 30 countries right now. We think they might be, putting nukes together. We think they might be furthering. So we're going to go on a hunch. Are you're okay with that? You're not giving me what the imminent threat is. The only thing that you're saying is, well, they might have been trying to further their nuclear capabilities. By the way, Tulsi Gabbard testified under oath at the beginning of the Trump administration that was the opposite of what you are saying right now. So I'll take Tulsi Gabbard under oath over what you say, because I think she had a little bit more intelligence. So that's okay. Give me another reason. And by the way, I agree with you. We shouldn't be going to war with Russia. We shouldn't be invading Russia. We shouldn't be invading North Korea. I agree with you, but we also shouldn't be rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. And I think you would agree, Vladimir Putin is in a much powerful position now than he was 3 weeks ago. Can we at least agree on that, Tomris?
No, the Shahed drones that Russia uses to fly into Ukrainian civilians, they get those from Iran. They trade with Iran a lot, and same thing with China. China benefits from
Is
a positive relationship.
so Vladimir Putin isn't
the idea that us prosecuting a war against Iran is somehow good for Russia is absolutely ludicrous.
okay. So how are their oil and the financial situation with Vladimir Putin now? Is it better now than it was 3 weeks ago? Yes or no?
Financial situation, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, well, the reason why you're not 100%, the reason why you're not 100% sure is because it's exactly what I am saying. The reason why he's in a better position now is because financially they're in a much better position. So if you're going to say no to me and you don't know what their financial situation is, then just don't answer the question. But let's go back to Iran. What do you think about those 175 school children that were slaughtered? Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it doesn't fulfill any sort of objective for us to do that. So if we did it, I'm pretty sure.
No, there's no if,
I don't think
sir. With respect, there's no if. We did.
Yeah.
It's already been proven. There's no
the
if.
investigation is still ongoing.
Actually, they've already come out. The military investigation's already said it was the United States. So that's virtually incorrect what you just said. What do you think about Donald Trump saying that it was Iran that did it with the Tomahawks? What do you think about that? Was he lying?
Like I just said, the only person I've talked to who actually lives in Iran, who I've talked to about this, has said he believes that the IRGC did it.
Okay, well, I don't care what some random person that you know claims. What I care about is what our own intelligence says, what an investigation says, and the fact that does Iran own any Tomahawks? Correct me if I'm wrong. Do they?
I don't believe so.
No, you are correct, sir. They do not. So I don't care what your friend says. It was the United States. So I ask you again, when Donald Trump claims that Iran was responsible, I don't know whether you voted for Trump or not. I guess it's irrelevant to this conversation. I would assume perhaps that you did, but that's irrelevant. That's okay. That's okay. Will you agree that that was not only irresponsible, but Donald Trump was probably lying when he said that?
No, he wasn't lying because we still don't know with 100%.
We still don't know. Let me ask you that question one more time, sir. Does Iran have Tomahawk missiles?
Oh my God, we're not sure if it was a Tomahawk that hit it.
Okay, yes, we are actually. Actually, our own military also investigated this, and yes, it was. As I've now said 3 times in a row. Does Iran have Tomahawk missiles? Yes or no?
Probably not.
No, it's not probably. They don't have Tomahawk missiles. So the fact that Iran doesn't have Tomahawk missiles and Donald Trump says it was Iran, will you call that out as a lie? I'm now asking you for a 5th time. Why do you defend the indefensible? Why are you curling? You seem like a somewhat intelligent guy.
Evidence that it was a Tomahawk. I haven't seen any.
Okay, well, I don't care.
You're asserting that there is.
No, I'm not asserting what it is. Our own military said it already. Okay, they've already come out and said it. The White House has already said, yes, we had bad intelligence. It was us. What more evidence do you need? I'm asking you now for a 6th time. When Donald Trump says that Iran was responsible, was he lying? Yes or no? Just tell me.
No, I honestly don't know if he's lying or not. I do not know. I can't say one way or the other.
Well, that's ridiculous, sir. With respect, that's ridiculous. But we'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree on that, I suppose. But with that being said, what do you think about taking Medicaid and food stamps away from Americans? Meanwhile, we've spent $12 billion in 6 days on this war. Why is it that I hear from conservatives always talking about fiscal responsibility and Doge, and we need to conserve, but all of a sudden when we have a war, which I believe is ill-advised, we can just print money. Why is that?
Yeah, because there's nothing more important than our national security. So,
how was Iran threatening our national security? What evidence has the White House provided that, other than Donald Trump on a whim, on a feeling that they were going to attack us? Yeah. What evidence has the White House provided that they were a direct, imminent threat to the United States of America? By the way, they're not even saying that anymore. They've walked off that now because there's no evidence to prove it.
No, so Iran has uranium that's been enriched past anything you can do nuclear power with. So they have that uranium. It's not enriched to weapons grade yet, but it's at a point where there's no.
We've heard that for 30. We've heard that. We've heard that for 30 years. This is my frustration.
Then
okay,
we should have invaded them for 30 years.
We've heard the same thing for 30 years with no evidence to back that up. There's no evidence to back that up.
We shouldn't have waited.
Again, for the last 30 years, there is no evidence they have furthered their nuclear capabilities. Do you know more than Tulsi Gabbard?
Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian shill. I don't believe.
Then if she's a Russian shill, then why did Donald Trump hire her and put her in that position?
Dude, I don't like Tulsi Gabbard.
I didn't ask you if you liked her. Hold on. Let's back up. I didn't ask you if you liked her or not. You just called Tulsi Gabbard a Russian shill, which partially I actually agree with you on. I think partially she is. My question to you is, for the man that you voted for, then why would he vote for her. Do you know why? Because I think Donald Trump is a Russian shill also. But why would he give her that job then if she's a Russian shill?
It's probably the same reason that Biden gave Pete Buttigieg, the Department of Transportation.
You want to compare? Hold on a second. You want to
political?
Pete Buttigieg is a shill for Russia?
No, I didn't say that.
Who is Pete Buttigieg a shill for, and why is he incompetent? And why is Pete Buttigieg
You're not
a shill?
listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying that the reason he gave him that job wasn't because he was the most qualified person. It was for
He wasn't?
political reasons.
Okay,
I'm
so
saying the same thing with Tulsi Gabbard.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there's better people he could find, but like there was probably some.
Okay, but let's but you just said okay. I understand.
Tulsi Gabbard did.
You said okay, so you said you believe that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian shill. Is Pete Buttigieg a shill for any country in the world? That you can.
That's not the point I was making.
No, but this is the point that I'm making is because Tulsi Gabbard, I agree with you. She should have never been appointed to that position. Pete Buttigieg is an extremely intelligent guy, a very capable guy, and I think you're comparing apples to oranges. But let's just say for a moment that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian shill, and because she's a Russian shill, she would lie about our intelligence when it comes to Iran. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't know. I don't know if she'd lie as much as she just wouldn't tell the full truth.
Okay, so she was asked about Iran's nuclear capabilities under oath, and she said that she had no reason to believe, based on her own intelligence, that they're furthering their nuclear capabilities. They said that 10 months ago, and then 8 months ago we bombed Iran, and we were told that we dismembered their capabilities. Are we led to believe that in 6 or 7 months they're ready to go? Of course not. You would agree that that's not true, but yet you're still okay.
No, like I just said, what Tulsi Gabbard said, I'm not going to take that at face value.
But you take what Donald Trump says. Do you take what Donald Trump says at face value?
More than I take Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah.
Okay, so you take things that Donald Trump says at face value.
I mean, I know what you're getting at, which is no, he exaggerates quite a lot.
Yeah, no, he lies. No, he doesn't just exaggerate. He lies. He lies. Can you say that with certainty? He lies.
No,
he doesn't. Okay, so he really believes that Iran had So he really believes that Iran had Tomahawk missiles, and he believes he won the 2020 election. Is that what you're saying, sir? He's just exaggerating a little bit. He's not lying.
100%. He believes he won the 2020 election.
He does. Okay, and what evidence?
The Tomahawk thing. Like I said, I've seen the video of the missile. I know that there is discourse among people who know more about this than either of us about what exact kind of missile.
Thomas, why do you still support him? What do you think he's done well for the country? Obviously, we're going to agree to disagree on Iran. I completely disagree with you in that, well, maybe they're furthering their nuclear capabilities. That's not reason enough to go to war and our troops dying and thousands of innocent civilians and trillions of dollars. That's absurd. We'll agree to disagree on that. What has he done good for the country? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, he's making us be taken more seriously on the world stage.
So you think, hold on. You think people take the United States and Donald Trump more seriously because of Donald Trump? Is that a joke?
More seriously than they took us under Joe Biden.
Yeah, I don't know where you're getting that from, and I completely disagree. But that's an opinion. What has he done well for the country? Just because you have an opinion, tell me. Be specific. What policies have worked?
I'm telling you, he's shut our border down. He's putting more pressure on Cuba. We got Nicholas Maduro.
Putting pressure on Cuba is not a policy. What has he done for America? Making America first. What has he done for America besides stealing?
First day in office, he shut down the border with an executive order.
Okay, so you think it's good for America? What's happening in Minneapolis when Renee Good and Alex Preddy were shot in broad daylight? You think it's good when we're taking away people's First, Third, and Fourth Amendment rights away, which they're doing on a regular basis? These ICE agents. You think that's a good thing for the country?
I think ICE should get rid of all the illegal immigrants.
You think ICE should get rid of all the illegal immigrants? That's not what I asked you. Do you think it's good for the country that they take away people's First, Third, and Fourth Amendment rights away? You do know what the First, Third, and Fourth Amendments are, correct, sir?
First Amendment, free speech. Third Amendment is.
So let's do one at a time.
Fourth, I don't know.
You don't know what the Third and Fourth Amendments are. Okay, well, let me try to help you out here.
Sure, I know what they are.
Okay, well, let's talk about the First Amendment because you were correct on that one, freedom of speech. Do you know how many people they've arrested in Minneapolis who were not breaking the law, U.S. citizens that they detained and arrested and then let go? Do you know that that's illegal? Do you know you can't break down a door and try to find somebody that you think is an illegal when it's not their home and you don't have a warrant? Do you understand that's against the law? Do you understand it's against the law to take
some? They have a judicial warrant.
No, they did not. That's the point. There's videos of it in Minneapolis. They were kicking down doors without any warrant at all to go in there because they thought that somebody was undocumented. There's video of it. It happened in Minneapolis. You are wrong. And then you have Kristi Noem, who has since been fired, another idiot that Donald Trump put in that position. I hope we could at least agree on that. And she basically called Alex Preddy and Renee Good domestic terrorists hours after these shootings. I would assume you would agree with me that that's not the right way to go.
No, I'm not going to cry any tears for someone who's obstructing ICE from getting criminal.
You're not going. Okay, let's go with that. You're not going to cry any tears. Okay, let's go with that for a moment. So are you saying By the way, there's no evidence that Alex Preddy was obstructing. I saw the video with my own eyes from every angle. There's no evidence of that. So you're saying that Alex Preddy deserved to be executed? Is that what you're saying, sir?
No, I'm not saying that.
You're not saying that. You're not going to shed any tears. What did Alex Preddy do wrong? What law was he breaking?
I mean, honestly, I couldn't really tell you.
You couldn't really tell you yet.
I know that he didn't.
Hold on. Stop right there. You couldn't tell me what law that individual broke. Yet you're hold on. We're talking about the law. You can't tell me. You know what? I can't tell you either because he wasn't breaking the law. So while you can't articulate a law that was broken, you're not shedding any tears for a guy that had no criminal record who was executed and killed. Do you realize how ridiculous that sounds?
No, I'll explain why. If you have, even if it's concealed, if you have a firearm on you, you're walking towards law enforcement, shouting abuse at them.
That is freedom of speech. By the way, he wasn't walking towards law enforcement. Law enforcement walked towards him in the split seconds before he was pushed to the ground and then kicked. So you're absolutely wrong with what happened. And by the way, shouting at law enforcement, my understanding, is a First Amendment right. Just because you're shouting at law enforcement doesn't mean you even deserve to be arrested or detained, let alone shot. So do you want to reevaluate what you just said? I'm not going to shed any tears for a guy who had no criminal record, who wasn't breaking the law, and you can't articulate what law he was breaking other than shouting at officers. Would you let me ask you again. I'm going to give you a second chance, sir, okay? Because I'm in a good mood today. With what happened to Alex Preddy, can you agree with me that he did not deserve to die?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. Okay. Now, will you also agree with me that it's horrible what happened to him, and maybe show a moral compass and say you feel for him and you feel for his family members and friends, because this is a man who never broke the law, who had no criminal record. So instead of saying I won't shed tears, can we maybe come to some sort of agreement that it is horrible what happened to a fellow human being who was not breaking the law? There's no evidence he was breaking the law, and maybe feel a little sorry for him. Would you like to retract what you just said? Can we make some progress here?
No, of course, his parents are sad that they like. I'm not gonna.
You don't feel bad for Alex Preddy. You don't feel any sort of.
Play stupid games. Play stupid games. Win stupid.
What stupid game? What stupid? And what law was he breaking when you say he was playing stupid games? What law?
I didn't say he was breaking the law. I'm saying if you're walking towards law enforcement,
he wasn't walking towards. He wasn't walking towards law enforcement. I've already corrected you on that one. There's no evidence that he was. And number two, he was allowed to carry, and he never reached for his weapon. So that is completely irrelevant to the conversation. So are you saying if someone's shouting at law enforcement and they're legally concealed carrying, they're legally carrying a weapon, you don't feel sorry for them if they're shot and executed? Is that what you're saying, sir?
In the circumstances of the video,
in the circumstances of the video, he wasn't walking towards law enforcement. He wasn't breaking the law. He never reached for his weapon. Yes, he was yelling some things at law enforcement. The last words out of that man's mouth, do you know what they were, sir? Because you can hear it on video. Do you know what the last words were?
I can't recall.
You can't recall, of course not. So the last words that he said, that he wasn't screaming at anybody. He was trying to help a woman up. And the last words out of his mouth were, "Are you okay, ma'am?" Those were the last words out of his mouth. But yet you don't want to feel any remorse for somebody like that. I just find it to be repugnant. Do you feel remorse for those American soldiers that lost their lives in Iran to a war that you seem to be totally okay with on a hunch that maybe they were furthering their nuclear capabilities? Do you feel any sorrow for those brave men and women in uniform, those same people that Donald Trump called suckers and losers? I don't respect John McCain because he was captured. Are you going to take the Donald Trump approach, or are you going to actually take off your hat, take off that baseball cap, and maybe feel a little bit of sorrow for those soldiers that lost their lives?
I don't know if sorrow is the right word. They're patriots. They're heroes. They should be respected.
Yeah. Well, do you think
feeling sorry for someone implies that like we're in a position of help?
Was Donald Trump the man who used support showing respect when he couldn't take off his baseball cap?
What are you talking about?
You have no idea what I am talking about now, boy.
He couldn't take his baseball. I don't know the situation.
You don't know this. Do you remember when Joe Biden looked at his watch? Do you remember that?
That sounds vaguely.
Yeah. So you know about that from years ago. You remember when Joe Biden for 0.2 of a second looked at his watch. You clearly remember that, but you don't remember what happened literally a couple days ago when the fallen soldiers were brought back home and Donald Trump refused to take his hat off, looking like the bumbling fool that he is. But somehow you don't know anything about that. Well, what do you think about that,
no,
sir?
I haven't heard of that.
You haven't heard of that. Where do you get your information from? Fox News, OAN, Newsmax?
No, I'm not that old. I don't watch TV.
Where do you? You don't watch. So where do you get your information from, if you don't mind me asking?
Mainly like Telegram, Twitter, stuff like that.
You get your news from Twitter. Okay, well that probably is. And by the way, that video is all over Twitter. All you have to do is Google Donald Trump baseball cap, and you'll see the video everywhere.
Sure.
Do you think that's disrespectful, sir? Like when our brave men and women are coming home and they've lost their lives, that you can't even take off your hat?
The way you just described it, yeah, probably. But I have a feeling if I watch the video, it's not going to be that clear cut.
Well, it's pretty simple. There's video everywhere. He wouldn't take off his hat. It's not. It wasn't like a brief second when somebody's looking at their watch. The guy wouldn't take off his hat. Period. It's disrespect.
I feel like he probably was just distracted or something.
Yeah, I'm sure. See that? Was Joe Biden?
Trump would go out of. I don't know why Trump would go out of his way.
Yeah. Did you ever
like,
say
people that
was
died
Joe
before
Biden was Joe Biden distracted when he was Joe Biden distracted when he took 0.2 of a second to take a look at his watch? Did you use that excuse for
like
Joe
I
Biden?
said, I don't know. Like I've heard people reference that. I don't even know what the situation.
You don't
was.
know.
Was it,
Okay.
like, funeral or
Who
was
won
it-
a free and fair? Who won a free and fair election in 2020?
2020,
Yeah.
2016, and
Didn't ask about
2024 was all Donald J. Trump.
Didn't okay. So I'm talking to a guy who says, by the way, I didn't ask you about 2016, and I didn't ask you about 2024. I asked you about 2020. So what is the evidence of widespread voter fraud that would lead you to make a stupid statement like that?
Yeah, the fact that it took us 9 days to.
The reason why it took, by the way, it
normally
didn't take,
takes us
by the
2
way, it
hours.
didn't take 9 days. We were also in a global pandemic, and it took a lot of time for people to read ballots. There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. Just because it took 9 days is not evidence that the election was rigged. A judge would laugh in your face. So I'm going to ask you again, based on your stupid answer, with all due respect, sir, very, very stupid. I'm going to ask you again. Where's the evidence of widespread voter fraud that Donald Trump won the 2020 election?
I just told you. If you can't
No,
explain.
9 days.
explain the discrepancy,
No, you can't. I just explained it to you.
votes.
I just
Yeah.
explained it to you because we were in a global pandemic. They didn't have as many employees in the country counting votes, and there were more mail-in ballot votes than any other time in American history. I just gave you the answer. So now I'm asking you once again, if you were presiding by a judge and the judge said, sir, let's just say you were representing Donald Trump and you said the election was stolen. Sir, what is your evidence that the election was stolen? Well, why did it take 9 days? A judge would laugh in your face. It's why Donald Trump went 0-61 in the courts. So now I ask you again, where is your evidence of widespread voter fraud that Donald Trump won the 2020 election?
I'm not going to repeat myself. but-
Right, because you don't have any evidence. The only thing that
you didn't refute what I said. You're just
No, I did refute what you said, and I gave you the reasons why it took 9 days, and get the MAGA wax out of your ears. You are the reason why we call you a cult. Donald Trump did not win the 2020 election. You have no evidence of widespread voter fraud. You guys go to Dinesh D'Souza and the MyPillow idiot for your answers. There is zero evidence. He is the only president in American history that has not conceded an election. Let me ask you another question. Does January 6th happen if Donald Trump does what every other president has done, which is concede? Do you think January 6th would have happened? Yes or no?
Possibly, but probably not.
So you're saying probably not. Yeah, I tend to agree with you, sir. Probably not. So it doesn't bother you that he's the only president. Did you like what happened on January 6th? Was that a good day for the country, sir?
Is January 6th a good day for the country?
Yeah. You have to, you're indifferent. So you're saying that over 140 officers that were injured, some of whom have traumatic brain injury, people who tried to overthrow the election. And when I ask you, was it a good day for the country when officers were beaten with their own batons? Your response is, I'm indifferent. Do you realize how ridiculous you sound?
I mean, no, if someone thinks
It's
that
not-
someone won the election who isn't going to be put into office, like, no, I would expect that person to take some sort of action.
Okay,
Be violent,
so you're
no, but like,
okay. I will repeat it again. 140 officers were injured. Some of those officers have traumatic brain injury. Officer Brian Sitnick passed away the next day. Ashley Babbitt was shot. There was a woman that was trampled and had a heart attack and lost her life. Over 1,500 people were arrested. Half of those people, violent criminals who Donald Trump called hostages and patriots. So let me ask you the same question again, and please think about it before you answer. Was January 6th a good day for the United States of America?
Sure.
All right. Well, you're a complete buffoon. Have a nice day. I'm not going to waste any more time with you. You're an idiot. 702-221-7283, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Again, the number if you want to be a part of the show, 702-221-SAVE. Christine is next on PTO. Hello, Christine.
Have a nice day. I'm not going to
Please lower the radio a little bit for me, Christine, if you may.
Here, let me come in the other
Yeah,
way.
you're good, Christine. You're good. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay, Brian. This guy that you just spoke with is just like that Bobby yesterday. That Trish called in and talked about how there is a psychological disorder that these people have.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I just described to him the violence that took place on January 6th, and he still says he thinks it was a good day for the country. I don't know how you could be that. Yeah. I mean, it's insane.
It's just beyond.
Yeah. How would he like it if somebody went to his house and physically harmed them, which I wouldn't want. And then if somebody asked me about it, hey, was that a good thing for your family? And I said, I'm indifferent to it. That's really what he's saying.
Indifferent.
Yeah, it's just it's pure stupidity. And that's someone that is extremely ill-informed. He defends the war in Iran, which is, in my estimation, is completely indefensible. Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to have serious conversations with these people. As I try every day, it's very difficult.
Well, you're trying great. And
thank you, dear.
The people like Paul from the UK and Darlene, keeping us, level. But this is just, I mean, it's exhausting. Now, I did hear that Fetterman I'm from Pennsylvania, Fetterman has, flipped back and is saying that he will not vote for this SAVE Act.
Yeah, well, Fetterman's a complete clown and an embarrassment to the country. And I don't know if a stroke turns someone into a MAGA cultist, but that's what Fetterman has turned into. I now have zero respect for him, the way he's coddled MAGA in Washington, D.C. I once defended him, and I will never defend him again. I think he's a disgrace to the country, quite frankly, my dear. And I really do appreciate your call. And it's good to hear from you, my dear. Thank you. All right, MAGA callers always welcome. 702-221-SAVE. And again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Let's go to David. David is next on PTL. Hello, David.
Oh, hey, Brian, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Thank you. So in regards to Iran, I guess just a brass tacks question to you would be, should Iran just as a country, should they be allowed to own and enrich uranium?
I don't believe any country, it would be in anybody's best interest, especially the evil regime, to do so. The problem is we have no evidence that they are attempting to do that. And as I quote back to what
attempted to do what
Tulsi Gabbard said, furthering their nuclear capabilities. That's what Tulsi Gabbard said under oath 10 months ago. So unless we have blatant evidence, we were told the same thing about weapons of mass destruction. And you would have asked me, do you think it's okay for some of our enemies to have weapons of mass destruction? Of course, my answer would have been no to that, but it doesn't mean we start an ill-advised war. I don't believe anything that we're hearing from the Trump administration when it comes to Iran. I don't believe anything.
It's not. Yeah.
I don't believe anything that Benjamin Netanyahu tells us either.
Administration that's saying, I do agree with you on that, but like the IAEA, they're saying that Iran has been enriching uranium. We're trying to for quite some time.
Exactly.
And according to them, they were saying it's up to 60% enriched. So
okay, so we've been hearing the same. We've been hearing that same narrative for over 30 years. The point that I try to make is the Trump administration doesn't even know why we went to war. They can't even get their talking points together. And David, we've been over this, right? First, it started with regime change. Then when we were told, wait, there can't be regime change unless we have boots on the ground, which I know you agree with. Then they switched to the civilians need to rise up. The civilians aren't taking over the country. Then when that narrative changed, Marco Rubio used verbiage of Israel basically forced our hand. Then they walked that back. And then, then the narrative talked about what you're talking about, which is they're furthering their nuclear capabilities, which we don't have any evidence.
I mean,
okay,
that's the narrative.
Okay, well, guess what? I don't believe
it's not the Trump administration that's saying.
Okay, well, guess what? I don't believe
other international
Well,
organizations.
if you're talking about again the Israeli government, I am not going to believe a word they say. But now they've walked off that. By the way, the Trump administration are walking off those possible nuclear capabilities, and now they're talking about just the Marines and taking down ships. So they can't even come to this. They're not even on the same page. Do you understand that? Donald Trump,
Brian,
David,
the International Atomic Energy Agency said that they're enriching.
Yeah, oh no, I understand that.
It's not.
So that would be beneficial for every country to just go to war with Iran, right? So let me just go back to what I said earlier, and this is why.
What does that mean?
I'll tell you exactly what it means in a moment. But what I was going to mention is this: Donald Trump just said the other day that we are nearing the end of the war. Pete Hegseth held a press conference the other day saying we are at the beginning of the war. You have the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States that are on opposite ends of the spectrum. Don't you find that problematic?
Trump's context with that. First of all, I don't believe Trump with the context, but his context is he's saying we're ending the war. We're moving into basically saving the country, which I don't really believe. But my point with, look, I agree that the Trump administration is either just not telling us the full story or they don't even know. But again, major organizations around the world are saying that Iran is enriching uranium. So is that
we've
not
heard
a
that
legitimate
we've
concern of
we've
yours?
we've heard that from this same organization for years. Now I want to go back to what you just said. This is really important though. I want to go back to what you just said. You just said it's either.
You also don't want to talk about this because you don't have an argument against this.
No, you have no evidence. They have said that in years past also. They have said that before.
In years past, they were doing it, and then countries would step in and stop Iran from doing it.
Okay, well, maybe you can give me an example of when we went to war with them when they said it in the past, because we didn't. But let's go back to.
It wasn't war, but
okay.
It was plenty of
all right.
and stopping them from.
So if you think,
you think that that's not
if you think that that's the reasoning for us to do what we've been doing, then I completely disagree with you. Now I want to go back to what you just said. You just said it's one of two things: either Donald Trump isn't telling the truth, or he doesn't know. Is that the type of leadership that you want from a man who I would imagine you voted for and you still support? He's either lying, which is basically what you're saying, or he doesn't know. He's the commander in chief. And by the way, I agree with you. I agree with what you just said. Either he's blatantly lying, I agree, or he doesn't know. I actually think it might be a little bit of both. Don't you think that's problematic?
It's probably both. But here's the thing. I think Trump, like pretty much, unfortunately, every president before Trump, is more or less just a subservient of Israel. And I hope one day that changes. But with Trump, it's never going.
Don't you think Donald Trump is? Don't you think Donald Trump is doing exactly that for Israel more than Joe Biden did, more than Kamala would have done? Kamala didn't even want to meet with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the last administration, I mean, they were funding Israel to wipe Gaza off the map. So it's not.
Who was more beneficial to Israel, Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
I mean, Trump, definitely.
Okay, so let's. I agree.
Lapdog, but let's not.
I agree.
Past administrations are not.
Okay, nowhere. Okay,
I'm not trying to make this about Biden. I'm
okay,
just saying,
but nowhere, as you agree with me, nowhere near the extent of Donald Trump, and that's the problem. Now, let me ask you another question. I've made the argument, even with you calling into this show, that Donald Trump has rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin and has coddled him. We have now learned that Vladimir Putin and Russia and their government have shared intelligence with Iran. And yet Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about that. In fact, the Trump administration in the last week have said they've had some great phone calls, even though self-admitting that they've shared intel with Iran. Don't you think that's also problematic? It doesn't sound like Donald Trump is very hard on Russia, is he? Isn't that problematic for you?
Yes, it is. But here's the flip side of that coin is I heard you say maybe a couple days ago, where you said Russia's now making more money off of oil.
Well, they are.
The Strait of Hormuz.
Well, they are.
That's true. That's true. But the flip side of that is Russia was getting a lot of their drone weapons from Iran. They're not getting them now because we're bombing the hell out of Iran. So now Russia's having a problem with keeping up with its own supply to attack Ukraine. So there's two sides to that coin.
Okay, well, I think
that justifies attacking Iran, but it actually does hurt Russia, believe it or not.
Okay, well, I think most people,
many countries,
if we're talking foreign policy and most affairs, most people would agree that Vladimir Putin is in a much better financial situation now than he was 3 weeks ago, and so is
he's not in a better situation in terms of actual weapons.
Okay, if
you can have all the money in the world, but if people won't sell you weapons, you're kind of
I think Putin has benefited, and the fact that they're sharing intel with Iran, I think speaks volumes. I'm wondering, for somebody like you who voted for Trump, what did you make of Donald Trump wearing a baseball cap when our brave men and women came home that had lost their lives? What did you make of that moment?
I mean, look, if you want to talk about this, I thought it was dumb, but I would rather, don't you want to talk about the actual war that's going on?
Well, we are. This is a part of the war. American soldiers that are losing their lives are a certain big part of the war. I don't want to see any American soldiers lose their lives.
Look, unfortunately, Americans are going to lose their lives in this war. And personally, unfortunately, I think this is going to turn into a boots on the ground situation.
Like, help me understand, David. David, help me understand this. Didn't Donald Trump say he was going to be a peace president and he wasn't going to start any new wars? Didn't he say that, or am I mistaken?
He did say that.
He did say that. So was he lying? Was he lying?
Paid for by, I mean, he's just a lapdog of Benjamin Netanyahu. It's really no.
So you voted for?
Any other
okay, I agree. So you voted for, your self-admitted voted for and support a lapdog to Benjamin Netanyahu. Is that America first?
Well, because I voted for him based on other things I thought he
Okay,
actually could
but
do.
you
I
voted.
never thought
Okay,
for a
you
second
voted
he
for
was
him because
anti-war.
you voted for him because you like some of his other policies. Okay, I got that, but you still voted for a guy that claimed he was America first. That is Benjamin Netanyahu's lapdog. Are you proud of that vote?
Well, I'm proud of the things he's done. I'm not proud of these things, which I think are considerably worse. I mean, ultimately, it was between two choices that were both, quite frankly, pretty bad. One was just, I thought at the time, slightly better
You
than
think
the other
you
one.
think Kamala Harris would have got us into a war in Iran?
Oh, 100%.
I think you're
100%.
absolutely
And let me-
crazy. You're
well, let me
crazy for
explain why.
thinking that.
Let me
You're
explain why. It's
crazy
nothing
for
against her
thinking that.
personally. Well, here's why. Because there's not a president on earth who's going to go against a military.
What was the last war we got into under a Democrat president? That was started by a Democrat.
An official war that was
Yeah,
announced,
please.
none, but you know,
None, exactly. So hold on, let's go with that.
that was
Let's go with that.
announced, but
We haven't in our lifetime, a Democrat president has not started a war. But somehow immediately you think if Kamala Harris was the
Obama
president,
bombed Syria,
he did
Biden
not start.
bombed,
He did not get
Libya.
us. He did not get us into war. That was the question that I asked.
Did he bomb those
I didn't ask you.
Did he not bomb them?
I didn't ask you about that. The question was, can you name me a Democrat president that got us into a war? The last war that we got into, which was an ill-advised war and we were lied to,
that's
was
fine.
George
And
W.
can you-
Bush.
can you name me a
Kamala,
president who
you
didn't
just
bomb
said
another
the
country in the
question.
last
That wasn't the question. You're deflecting. I said, would
Well, no, that's
Kamala,
my question to you. I
Kamala,
answered your question.
Kamala dropping a bomb is different than getting us into a war. I asked you if Kamala, I asked you if Kamala would have gotten us into a war with Iran. You immediately said yes. I disagree with you on that. You're wrong.
Because any president
No,
would
she
have.
would not have. No, she. Joe Biden didn't go to war with Iran. You're telling me the nuclear capabilities are farther now than they were a year and a half ago? That's nonsense. That's nonsense, and you know it.
But what he did was he funded the genocide that's going on in Gaza, which, to be fair, Trump's doing
Okay,
the same
so
thing.
so first of
in
all,
terms of foreign wars, they're
so
basically the same
so
person.
so first of all, you don't like the funding of the Israeli government. That wouldn't mean that Joe Biden was helping to fund genocide in Gaza. And I don't defend the Israeli government.
What would you call it?
I don't
when Biden
defend.
literally
I
directly
don't.
gives weapons to Israel
Okay.
to kill innocent
Okay.
Gazans.
Okay.
What would you
So
call
first of all, Joe Biden and his administration never said that they were funding Israel so they could kill innocent civilians. That's number one. Number two, this
So
is
what? They don't
this.
have to
Excuse
say
me,
it.
I'm
Those
answering
are
a question.
directions.
This was a directive after the Hamas attacks. There is a difference between funding a government when they are attacked by a terrorist organization and saying you're only funding them so they can kill innocent people. But if you really care about innocent people, what do you think about the way they've handled those 175 plus
I know, they're
school
kids in
children?
school, yeah.
What do you think about that,
Yeah,
David?
well, I do think it was America. I think they just had from what I understand, that building was a. Yeah, well, we don't know for sure, but it most likely was.
No, we
I
do.
think it was a building
We do know for sure. The
No, I don't
military,
think we
the
do. No, we
military,
don't
the
know for
investigation put forth by the military has already put out a report that said it was the United States. The White House has already said that it was faulty intelligence. What do you make of Donald Trump blaming Iran immediately after this? Blaming Iran. What do you make of that?
Well, he's not going to want to take blame for accidentally killing hundreds of kids.
Why not?
I wouldn't expect
Why not?
that.
Why not take? Why would you blame Iran? Why would you? So he was lying then. You admit that he was lying.
Well, first of all, it's completely reasonable to think Iran would kill their own people.
Do they have Tomahawk? Do they have to? Is it reasonable to think that Iran has Tomahawk missiles? Is that reasonable?
Is that? Of course, that's reasonable.
Really?
I think they did it.
Really?
Tomahawk
Hold on.
missiles are around the world. And
No, they are. No, they are not. No, they're not. You're wrong. Okay, here's what I want you to do, David. Here's what I want you to do. We're going to do this right now, and I think you'll be willing to do it. What I would like you to do is I'd like to Google you. I'd like you to Google right now, and I will be very patient and wait on the phone. I want you to Google which countries in the world have Tomahawk missiles. Can you do that for me right now?
I can't Google, but you can if you can for me. I mean, look, I'm willing to admit if this isn't the case. It's just things I've heard from Tomahawk missiles. A lot of countries have them.
Okay, well,
Are you still there? Okay.
I was actually hoping that you would do this yourself. The only countries that have Tomahawk missiles are the Netherlands, okay, Japan Arms Control Association, and the United States of America. Those are the only countries in the world that have Tomahawk missiles. Now, Donald Trump knew that, and if he didn't know that, he's an imbecile. Right. There is zero.
I mean, how do we know Iran doesn't have these weapons? We don't know exactly what Iran has.
Okay,
there is literally every
okay. Yes, so does Donald Trump. But the point that I'm trying to make,
Iran does it more though.
Okay, you can ask anybody that has basic information on weaponry, and they would tell you there is zero evidence that Iran has Tomahawk missiles. They've never used any. They don't have any, and there's zero evidence. Now, again, you can Google that when you get off the phone with me. I'm not lying to you because I have a little bit of knowledge when it comes to this stuff, and I can tell you right now.
I'm not saying I'm
Donald
willing to
Trump
concede this
lied.
point, 'cause
He
I don't know
lied.
enough. Yeah.
He lied. He lied,
I'm
David.
not disputing that. I think he.
Here's
did.
what you do, David.
Just outright
David, this is what we call leadership. Either it's Pete Hegseth or Donald Trump, which have no leadership qualities. You say, listen, unfortunately, in war, mistakes are going to be made. This was a terrible mistake that we made. It was also unintentional. Here's the target that we were going after. We made a horrible mistake.
okay.
We had faulty intelligence.
Let me
Our
just make
thoughts go out to their families and friends. The last thing you should do is blame another country and don't take some ownership. That is what leadership
Okay.
looks like.
Look, look, fine. You're right. Here's a bigger issue to me. The brass tacks of it is there were many agencies that had a lot of reason to believe Iran was enriching uranium. I think they were, and it was very clear they wanted to build a nuclear bomb. This is the reality.
Yeah.
You can say Trump.
The reality is,
no. I would agree with you, but other international agencies
the reality
thought
is,
otherwise.
the reality is that we haven't found any of those capabilities. We don't have any direct evidence of those capabilities, and we've been hearing for decades that they have those capabilities, and that is not a reason to
And
possibly.
they've been trying for decades.
David,
Do you think Iran hasn't been trying?
David, we were told that this was going to be a peace president. We were told that this was going to be a presidency where we would not be going to war. There would not be regime change. It is the opposite of everything that he bought you. And you sold it. You were sold on it. You bought his propaganda and his lies. He got us into war. There's probably going to be boots on the ground. This is going to cost us trillions of dollars. But yet you seem to be more concerned about undocumented immigrants in this country taking away your health care. David, you're just wrong, my friend, and I just proved it. Thank you for the phone call. Let's go to Nelson. Nelson is next on PTL. Hello, Nelson. Nelson, can you please lower your radio, please?
Oh, man, my bad, bro. Sorry, I was listening to you. My fault.
That's all right. What's on your mind, Nelson?
No, I just want to say that, on various other different topics, I do agree with certain things on Trump, but him bombing Iran or deciding to do that was a horrible idea, and I think that does ultimately now make him a war criminal. And I was pretty neutral on Trump. I said before that he was a combination of both the good and the bad. But now after him doing that, I actually have a lot less respect for him now. I really do.
Did you have respect for him a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago? You had respect for Donald Trump?
Not on everything. Like I said, it depends what kind of.
Well, hold
topic
on.
we're talking
Collective,
about,
as a
but-
human being, you had respect for Donald Trump like a year and a half ago? Just as a human.
As a human,
Yeah.
as a human being.
In a general
What-
sense, did you respect Donald Trump a year and a half ago?
I mean, you would have to define what he did and what he didn't do.
Well,
like, you would have to go into
that's
specifics.
well, I've been in specifics on this show a lot. You said right now you lost respect for him. That would lead me to believe at one point you had respect
yeah, I
for him.
lost a lot more respect for him.
Okay,
yes,
so at
correct.
one point, it's fair to say you had respect for him. Is that fair?
No, I told you I was pretty neutral. On certain things that I agree.
Do you
with
respect
him on,
someone that attacks you respect someone that attacks Gold Star families and women of color? You respect someone that makes racist comments, that was filed thousands of discrimination lawsuits that he had to pay out. You respect someone who talks about grabbing women by the genitals. You respect somebody who sexualizes his own daughter, who's in the Epstein files thousands of times. How could you ever have had respect for this man?
Okay, you're not listening.
No, you're not
I literally
listening.
Said, no, I literally said I respected him on certain things, but on those things that you mentioned, for example, obviously I don't respect.
What did you
him.
respect
I
him on?
literally just
What
said that
things?
He's a combination.
What
of
things?
both the good
What
and the
things?
bad,
What's the
and
good?
that I don't respect him on
What
everything.
did you
I
respect him
really
on?
just told
Tell
you I
me.
have less respect
Tell
for
me.
him now.
Tell me. Hold on. What did you respect him on?
If we're going to talk about the military, he's arguably made our military stronger.
He's made our military.
spending.
He's made our military stronger. Okay, let's talk about that.
Well, there's a lot more focus on the military
Really?
under the Trump administration.
So you think he's good for the military? You think Donald Trump, the draft dodging coward, is good for the military? You think hiring Pete Hegseth is good for the military? You think starting an ill-advised war, which actually you agree with me on, you think that's good for the military? You think that strengthens us when we lose American soldiers?
No, wait. You didn't listen. Didn't I just say that I didn't like how he started a new war, potentially started a new war. I just disagreed with that. I was literally agreeing with you.
Does that strengthen our military? Does an ill-advised war strengthen our military? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so he hasn't strengthened our military. Give me something else.
Okay,
what do you
but
respect him
I
on?
disagree
No.
with you on that.
Give me something else. We'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree. Give me something else that you think you respect him on.
Okay, you completely went off the.
Give me something else. No, I'm still on it. Go ahead. Give me something else that you respect him on. You think he's done good. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, a few other things, but not many.
Name me one other.
You know, he's doing his best. I'm sorry.
Give me something. Go ahead. Be specific. Give me something else.
Protecting unborn babies. You know.
Okay, so you're going to the abortion route again. So what about protecting babies? You care so much about protecting unborn babies. Do you think it's protecting babies when you take food stamps and Medicaid and you take maternity leave away from a mother, or do you only care about babies if they're unborn?
Okay. Did I say that?
No. You said you said you think he's protecting unborn babies. How about born babies?
Right,
Do you think he's protecting born babies?
I'm specifically talking about.
Do you think he's? Do you? And I'm asking you a question. I want to protect human life. Do you think he's protecting born babies? No, not pivoting. We're talking about human life and babies, which you care to support, and you're against abortion. So after the baby is born, is he protecting those babies? We're talking about human life and preservation of human life. Is Donald Trump protecting human life and babies? Didn't ask you.
With him taking food stamps away or
is that protecting life?
No, I think that's
it's not. Okay. What would you say about taking away maternity leave for mothers and struggling mothers that are trying to raise children with one parent? Nope. See, this is what you anti-abortion nuts always do. You care so much about the unborn baby, but once that baby is born, then you play stupid. Pot him down. I'm not jumping from topic to topic. You just said that you think he's doing a great job protecting unborn babies. My question to you was, what's the goal of that if, in fact, all these babies are born and he doesn't protect the born babies? Do you not? Are you so stupid that you can't think that far ahead? You care so much about protecting unborn babies, but once that baby is born, let's take away all those government programs that could help that parent raise that child. Do you realize how stupid you sound? If you're going to call yourself pro-life, which I don't think you are, then you need to be consistent on pro-life policies, not just abortion. Example, Medicaid, food stamps, maternity leave, taxes, jobs, raising the minimum wage. Basically, everything that I'm talking about is against the Republican platform, and it's against what Donald Trump is doing right now. So I'm asking you to be consistent. If you say that you care so much about the unborn, then why is it you don't care about the born? Answer the question.
Okay, so I do care about the unborn and the born.
Well, then if you do, then you wouldn't call Donald Trump a pro-life president, then would you? Because he's certainly anti-life once the baby is born, isn't he, sir?
Yeah, but I was only talking about unborn. You switched from
unborn
to born.
No, we are talking about life.
Topic.
We are talking about
the
initial topic was what you think Donald Trump is doing good, and you said he's helping unborn. And my question to you was, if you care about preserving human life, and you care about human life in okay, get off the phone. If you're going to start that stupid laugh because you know I got you, then the conversation is over, and you are a MAGA mushroom gobbling imbecile. You pro-life idiots are not pro-life, and the second the baby is born, you don't seem to care. That's not pro-life. That's anti-life. The Democrat Party is far more pro-life than you MAGA morons ever will be. Period. And that phone call is a perfect example of that. Let's go to Herb. Herb is next on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy? Let's see if we can have a conversation today, a civil conversation. Listen, do you know of a guy by the name of Bill Maloogian?
No, but
know that is?
No, I hope that's on topic to what we're discussing today, but go ahead.
It is. Oh, it is. He used to interview, he'd interview some of the illegal aliens coming over the border.
We're talking about immigration? I didn't know we were talking about immigration today. Did I bring up immigration in here?
It's going to connect to this.
Okay, but I thought we were on topic. Okay, I thought we were on topic.
So anyway, but anyway, he used to interview these illegal aliens, and he interviewed from time to time aliens that were coming over the border illegally, and they were Iranian. And he would talk to them about they wanted to come here, but they were unvetted. They just came into the country. There were a lot of them that came in, and they were gotaways. They don't even know where they are.
Yeah, so Donald Trump.
I say that to say this. I say that to say this. That was during the Biden administration when the border was open.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
The border wasn't open, but go ahead.
Guys, if one of them went into a school and shot up a bunch of people,
Mm-hmm.
and they found out that he came in during, the Biden administration.
Yeah.
Would that be blood on the hands of Joe Biden?
So what if somebody came in under the Trump administration? Would that be blood on the hands of Donald Trump?
No. I'm asking. Don't answer my question with a question.
So you're asking me. So you're asking me a Okay, then be quiet. You're asking me a hypothetical that if somebody came into the country illegally under the Joe Biden administration and was from Iran and committed an attack on American citizens under the Trump administration, should we blame it all on Joe Biden? Here is why my answer is no. I believe that Herb, you asked me a question. Herb, you asked me a question. You need to let me finish answering the question as I am. I believe we've had failures in every administration when it comes to border security.
All right.
No. Pot him down. The coward is the one that's going to hang up the phone, and I'm not hanging up on you. And he hung up the phone, so I think we know who the coward is, and he didn't even let me finish answering the question. There are plenty of administrations, and you're asking me a hypothetical that if somebody came into the country illegally under the Biden administration and committed a horrible act under the Trump administration, one could also argue, why didn't Donald Trump keep us safer? It happened under the Trump administration. But what you don't do, Herb, is you don't take into account that we just started an ill-advised war with Iran. Are you going to blame Donald Trump for the guy who plowed into a synagogue today in Detroit, Michigan? No, of course not. You're going to give me a hypothetical. What if somebody commits a horrible crime and they entered the country illegally under the Joe Biden administration? Do you blame Donald Trump for those January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom have literally raped young girls? Do you blame Donald Trump for that? No, of course not, Herb. You just give me hypotheticals. So, Herb, here's what I want you to do, okay? Do some advice for me. Here's some advice that I'd like to give you. Herb, I'd like you to take those hypotheticals that you gave me with an attempt of trying to attack undocumented immigrants again, and I'd like to shove them up your ass. That's what I would like. That's what I would like you to do with those hypotheticals. And you can take those hypotheticals with you, Herb, and please go ahead and move to Iran while you're at it, because quite frankly, I'm sick of your phone calls. Let's go to John. John is next on PTL. What's up, John?
Hey, Brian. Hey, two quick things. First of all, if Iran had tomahawks, don't you think they would have fired them already at Tel Aviv and maybe our ships?
Of course they would have. Of course they would have. But that would take somebody of average intelligence to understand that. And unfortunately, a lot of the MAGA people who call into this show don't have a brain, unfortunately, sir.
And another quick thing, I was listening to Stephanie Miller, and they were talking about how Zelensky, a guy that Trump publicly humiliated, is actually helping us out with drone defense.
Yeah, I heard that actually as well. My friend, all I can tell you is this. My heart goes out to any innocent people that are losing their lives. Could be in Israel, could be in Iran, American soldiers, Americans that are stuck in Iran. It's a terrible situation that Donald Trump has put this country in, and not just the war in Iran, but so many other horrible, horrible policy decisions that he has made over the course of the last year and a half, my friend. And all I can tell you in closing is we got to take it one day at a time. We all got to call it out. And it's almost impossible to defend the indefensible, but yet these people curl themselves into a MAGA pretzel and they to try to make excuses. And it's very difficult. I want to thank my guest, Wajahad Ali, by the way. I think he's one of the best in the business. If you missed it, we do have a podcast here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we just passed 108,000 subscribers on Facebook. If you haven't checked out my Facebook page, please do so at Pushing the Limits. The Pushing the Limits Facebook page. Spread the word there. YouTube, of course, at PTL Radio Show on X. I am the Brian Shapiro. For the most part, I'm pretty interactive on there as well. Tomorrow on the program, I've heard a rumor. We've reached out to the Trump administration, and I have learned that there is a possibility that Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th president of the United States, no, not the 46th, Donald J. Trump might be joining us on the show tomorrow. Other than that, we're going to have a good time. And of course, we'll take some more phone calls and we will hear from you. I love you guys. I love what we built here on the PTL Nation. And I do have a little information to share with you of what my plans are this afternoon. I am going to be debating. I almost said dating. A guy by the name of Mr. Dyer. Now, Dyer is a very prominent, I guess you could call, right-wing pundit. So it's probably going to be an interesting debate, and anything that we do as far as debates here will also be posted on my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show, as you see on my Facebook and YouTube. So please check that out, Pushing the Limits. We're at 165,000 subscribers on YouTube and going strong there as well. Please check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. And again, my website is pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations, $5, $10, $20 a month. Listen, whatever you can afford, we greatly appreciate it. It helps us keep the lights on here on PTL, and you're supporting independent media, and I appreciate you guys very much. A $25 donation or more will give you the opportunity to host a segment with me on this show live in April. With a $25 donation or more, you're automatically entered. And I have some important news to share with you about where I will be in a few weeks. I'll share that with you on the air tomorrow, and the No Kings Vet Rally, where I will be speaking, and I was invited to speak. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day.
Here's the deal. The country's a mess, and America's youth is stuck at the center of a tug of war between propaganda, billionaires, and